Hi, this is Chris. I'm the founder of 400kfirst.com, and this is my fourth video. We're at a kind of historic location here. This is an old water plant. It goes back to the late 1800s. We're right alongside what's called the North Fork of the New River. This is not far from where Daniel Boone founded. About 15 miles from here is where he had his meat camp. You can't see the river, but it's right over the ridge here. Anyway, just kind of a pleasant thing. I have to hike into some of these areas to give you guys a scene, but I thought it would be a little better if I brought in some nice sites with a little history. I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but I'm actually an Army veteran. I have an undergraduate degree in criminal justice with a specialty in juvenile delinquency. I used to work with adolescents, inpatient and psychiatric hospital. After that, I went on to be a college counselor, working with post-college and some high school as well as graduate schools later on. And what I want to emphasize here is, first off, is that our thing is, we're 400, this is new merch, 400, there's 386,000 kids born every single day, and that's the premise of why I started this. Since I started this, since I uploaded my second video about 75 days ago, 28.9 million kids have been born. Again, it's 386,000. I just rounded it up to make it 400,000 K. If you want to find me on the internet, I'm at 400kfirst.com. You're going to see I've got merchandise with this. We've also got some really interesting shirts. The reason for today's thing in this little historical setting is that I want to talk about juvenile laws and some of the stewardship, because part of this process with 386,000 kids and 400K is to get people to realize how many kids are born every day and what's the kind of stewardship and leadership they need. And what I want to bring up is that it wasn't until the late 1800s that in Chicago, Boston, New York, that we actually started to get juvenile laws together. Prior then, they were considered wards of the state, sometimes as adults. And then it was a hard work, 150 years ago, of people like Jane Addams at the Hull House in Chicago. Boston had their own set of people, Chicago, that some of the laws began to formulate. And then they continued on into the early 1900s, the 20s, up into the 1960s, until more formal laws were set up for juveniles. And the reason I bring that up in the confluence of the flags and this and so forth is that when we think of law enforcement, we don't often think about the probation officers, we don't think about the people in corrections, social workers and so forth, child protective service workers who are actually working on the front lines doing a lot of the social service work, and I used to do some of that. It's a lot of passionate work, and so I like to bring in the fact, the history of America, just a lot of the hard work, that what we're seeing going on in the schools right now with the LGBT wanting to cross the lines to go into, say, K through third grade school, it's basically sexual predatory things, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to sign laws to that. But the reason I wanted to bring in the history is that it took a long time to get these laws together, and it's been about 150 years now, and that, like America, that took a long time to found, we just don't want these things to crumble away. So I'm doing this because I think there's other people out there that are doing this, and this is obviously in the media right now. I mean, I founded this just under a year ago. I did my first video a year ago. I did my second one in March. This is my fourth one. And the pace of the people getting involved with this right now is it's historic. For the next 2-3 years, this season of change is going to be really incredible what we're going to see happening. So I'm asking people to support us because I think a lot of you don't really know what to do. We've basically been suppressed with information about speaking out against the LGBT. And now since Governor DeSantis passed the Parental Rights and Education bill, we have a little bit of a threshold that's been crossed. And if those people want to cross that into these young people's lives and try to change them and their gender, the courts are going to be stepping in on this. So it's time for us to come out and not to be afraid and talk about this. So that's why I'm making this video. I'm going to appeal to those to you to continue to watch my video. I'm getting ready to publish a book. There's a lot of other good companies. The ADL, the American Defense League, is now getting involved. We've got 17 states. North Carolina just this past week passed their parental rights bill. So there's a lot of good work, and I think where I want to end with this is that heterosexuals have really been decimated in the last 35 years, and the emphasis has really been, there's been more rights given to the LGBT. Part of what I'm doing is trying to raise up and say, you know what, there's a lot of leadership and advocacy that we can do for young people that are being born, and we need to focus on some of those things rather than some of the lifestyles of adults. And I think that if you begin to follow us and look at some of the leadership things we do, I think it'll resonate with you and Americans and really what you want to see happening, transmitting with your values. So I hope this appeals to you in a small way. I hope you'll check the website out. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks that people begin to visit the website, begin to purchase some merchandise. We're going to have some unique things going on the next couple of weeks here. And I think there's going to be some really good change for America. So thank you. God bless.